Hello, social workers. I am Marta Miranda-Straub, and I am honored to share a little bit about my career. January 15th, it was 50 years that I have been a social worker. I have been in multiple roles, both psychotherapist in private practice, of course, advocate, activist, and done a lot of work around mental health and trauma. And my last job was the commissioner for the Department of Community-Based Service for the state of Kentucky. Actually retired 3 weeks ago. So I want to tell you, I was asked to tell you a little bit about my work story and my learnings and to share with you, and mostly as a way to invite you to come celebrate with us next Wednesday between 1 and 3:30 for Social Work Lobby Day, where I am very humbled to be honored as a social justice star. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I am Cuban. I'm an immigrant, political refugee from Cuba. I was born in rural Cuba, came to this country, to New Jersey at age 10. And while I was there, I did a lot of teaching of, I was part of the 100% literacy campaign in Cuba. So all of us who were A's and B's at the time, after noon, after we had lunch, we went and taught cigar makers and factory workers and cane cutters how to read and write. So I became a teacher and an activist, anti-poverty, really early. And then I went to Jersey and I spent 10 years there. I really come from a rural area and really fell in love with Kentucky when I came by to visit a friend of mine who was at a UK medical school, and I have been in Kentucky over 40 years. My career started at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I was doing an internship there on trauma, and I was working with Vietnam vets who had actually were in the forensic unit that had either hurt a family member or a buddy in one of their fugues due to post-traumatic stress disorder. This old, it was not called PTSD then, it was called trauma fatigue. During that time, I had the incredible gift of a beautiful Vietnamese monk named Thich Nhat Hanh, and most of you may know about him. He's written and have lived his whole life for the last 40, 50 years teaching mindfulness. And he decided, once he heard that we were losing Vietnam vets at a faster rate in the United States after they returned from the war, that his mission, his ministry was going to be to come and teach them mindfulness practice. So I was that lucky baby social worker who got to sit with the clients, the vets, and the staff and learn mindfulness practice at that time. I continue to follow his teachings and have been to many workshops. He just passed at over 90, maybe last year. If you have not heard of Thich, please go ahead and do that. He has been quite an influence to me, and I think without his compassion of being able to get through the war, get through the pain of what we did, and actually extend his heart and his practice to Vietnam vets, has taught me that I can work with anyone and that everyone deserves the respect and the dignity to be sat with and worked with. So as a result of that gift, I was able to work with batterers of DV, sexual abuse perpetrators, very hard, but that heart really allowed me to do that. I also became very interested in immigration reform. I was working for the University of Miami Cuban Haitian refugee program at that time, and my compatriots, my Cuban folks would come in, and we would get a green card and kind of allow to study and to work, etc. And Haitians came in and they were turned right around. They were darker, they were not as educated. They said that they were coming here for financial reasons, not for political reasons. So they were treated very differently. I became and am and have been this whole time, quite an activist and very engaged in humane immigration reform. So my activist heart got kicked in at that time, around 23, 25. I moved on and have done a lot of work with trauma, with adult children of alcoholics. I ran a chemical dependency unit, a charter hospital in Miami, and it was the dual unit with mental health and substance abuse. From there, I developed a private practice for 35 years and started working with dissociative disorders, people who really had such high trauma, like cult ritual abuse, etc., that their mind brilliantly divided their parts up and they did not know each other, so that they can hold different parts of the memory so that they could stay surviving. And I learned a lot about the resilience of the brain, about the creative capacity and resilience of human beings. And I'm very honored that I was allowed in their private health for a really long time. So I'm also a poet. I was inducted into the Appalachian Poets as part of my creativity, is part of how I deal with a heavy burden of being a social worker and working with these really difficult stories and clients. I retired the first time in 2018, retirement 1.0, and was lifted my organizational practice, had closed my clinical practice, and wrote my memoir. I'm very proud of it. It's called Cradled by Skeletons. So I'm going to read to you to give you an idea of my perspective on clients, and also the kinds of clients that I have worked with. And I think that might help more than me talking at you. This is ode to my clients. I speak on behalf of all the courageous, resilient, and strong clients who have allowed me to have a seat of honor as witness to their private and troubled psyches, problematic behaviors, harmful thoughts, and scary visions and voices. I was trusted to visit their private, intimate hells, the bones rattling in their ears, the spiders crawling on their skin, the memories entrenched in their mutilated bodies, the parts of their psyche that split to hold the horror of their abuse, the monsters in their bedrooms, the burns on their backs, and most painful of all, the loss of their innocence and of trust in the human race. They shared with me the snakes climbing the walls, the numbness of their emotions, the betrayal of their bodies, the night sweats in their dreams, the birth and murder of their children, the rape of their trust, the violation of their childhood, the hyper-awareness of their surroundings, the smells of body fluids that they were too young to understand. I'm here to tell you that it is a luxury and a privilege to just be blue and to have a bad day or a bad week. Most of us live with them for no longer than 2 weeks at a time. It is a gift to think that we're crazy. That is not mental illness, that is life. The experience of people suffering from mental illness is very different, and it does not go away. The internal world is painful, but they are not damaged. They are not fragile. They are resilient, strong, courageous, and yet somehow they believe that they are not. They believe that they are not worthy of your love, of your admiration, or that they actually would not be missed if they were not here. This is tragic. Let's co-create a compassionate community of service where help is available and acceptance and understanding are our standards, until the ones suffering can find their way back to their worth, their purpose, their joy, and their wish to live. So I share that because this is a summary of what I witnessed and what I've been part of and what I worked. And I wanted to make sure that I share that with you. I've learned a couple of things along the way. Regardless of how much experience you have, how many licenses, how many workshops you've attended, make sure that you get clinical supervision, that you get to process that when your issues get surfaced, that you seek therapy, the same thing that we're asking our clients to do, that you seek recovery when there's substance use issues. I am a proud recovering alcoholic and drug addict with 41 years of sobriety. I've also have always mentored and been mentored, and therapy has saved my life. I have a lot of history of child abuse, and what happened as I work with clients, all of these things kept bubbling up, so I had a place to take them. I had a healing that I needed to do so that I can stay in the field. And I want to push on self-care. Secondary trauma is real. We, as caring people, absorbed and carry the trauma that other people are telling us as we sit with them. So radical self-care, taking care of the body, the mind, the spirit, being able to have a circle of folks that you can be honest with about what you need and what you feel has saved me and has saved me my career. So it is with great honor and joy that I tell you that I have survived and thrived in my profession, that January 15th was my 50th year, and that I am now in retirement 2.0, doing organizational development, leadership coaching, strategic planning, board development, and all those really juicy things that give me a lot of energy. I identify as an organizational midwife. I push people to be their best selves and to live up to their human potential. And I also identify as Cuban by birth and Appalachian by the grace of God. I never felt at home in this country until I found Kentucky. So I'm very grateful. I lived in a log cabin in Mount Vernon for 17 years in a holler, and it really gave me all my rural roots back. So I feel strong, I feel healthy, I feel incredibly alive, and I'm incredibly honored to be the 2023 Social Justice Star for NASW. See you all next Wednesday in Frankfurt. If you have any questions about my career, or you want some advice, want to learn more about what I do and who I am, please email me at catapultingnow@gmail.com. That's catapultingnow@gmail.com. Any question is fine. I really love to hear from you, and I'm very grateful that you took the time to be able to listen and to kind of watch at a grandma of the movement, right? I've been in the rape crisis and domestic violence movement for 40 years. I've been in the immigration reform movement for 49. I've worked with trauma, with children and families for now 50 years. And it has been quite an honor to serve with Team Kentucky as the commissioner for the state, and to be able to dismantle and look at poverty and look at racism and be able to assist people in really taking care of themselves as staff, but also being able to bring compassion and understanding to the work that we do as social workers. So please take care of yourself, get out of the fire, take a drink of water, get a retreat, get a therapist, do what you need to do, take a break, don't quit, come back stronger with a glass of water for those who are burning and who really don't know a way out. I have found that to be the biggest journey of my life. And I'm going to end with a poem that I wrote about my own addiction called Addiction, and it's in my memoir as well. And I'll leave you with that. You mended the burn marks on my back, the slaps across my face. You soothed my disjointed septum, and you rocked my colicky infant. You gave rhythm to my frozen hips after he took my virginity without my permission. You greased my bones so that I could dance with abandon. You allowed my breath to return to my belly. You brought back giggles and laughter. You stood in for my courage, and you gave me confidence. You melted the incessant microaggressions poured on my psyche daily, and you unlocked my aching jaw and helped me to claim my voice. As time passed, you became a demanding and unforgiving captor. You abducted my freedom, and your jealousy became my prison. I woke to shame running down my arm and drops of blood contaminating my medicine. Johnny Walker lost his luster, and rum no longer reminded me of sugarcane, and Remy Martin cognac was no longer sophisticated. I often fell to my knees when riding horse. I lost my vision from peyote, and the pure white snow turned to darkness. After 41 years of healing goodbyes, I'm still here, recovering from your brutal betrayal. Thank you all. Namaste.